Hello everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I did something a little different. I canned pinto beans. So you can see that I have 4 quarts here of pinto beans. I did these earlier today, and I hope that you stick around. If you're interested in doing something like this, stick around and we'll go through the steps together to show you how to can pinto beans. It really is so simple. All you really need is 4 pounds of pinto beans, salt, water, and a day that you can stick around your house while you work on this, because it takes a little bit of time. Not a lot of money involved, but it does take some time, so you need to be at home. If you have a canner and you know how to operate a canner, you can do this really simple. Save so much money, and I'm sure they're going to be delicious. I can't wait to open up a jar for supper tonight. So stick around and I'm going to show you step by step how to can pinto beans. So the first thing you're going to do is just open your bag of pinto beans, and we're going to just look through them, make sure there's no pieces of rock or dirt. So we're just going to do that a few at a time in your hand, and just make sure there's nothing in there that you don't want to eat. Mostly when I look beans, you're going to find little pieces of dirt, and you want to rinse that off. So we're going to look these, and we'll be back after we've rinsed them to put them on to boil. So we're down at the end of the bag, and I actually didn't find any kind of rocks or debris. So that's good. We're just going to rinse these off, put them in this pot, and we're going to let them come to a boil. We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to rinse them under some cool water. You're going to cover your beans with water, and then you want to bring them to a boil. Then we're going to let them sit in that water for 1 hour. The second pot of beans have come to a boil. I've covered them. I'm going to let them sit in the hot water for 1 hour. And I'm not sure if I told you we're using 4 pounds of dried beans. I'm just letting my hour count down. I'm going to go ahead and go do something else in my house, and I'll come back. It's been an hour since I boiled these pinto beans. I'm going to drain the water off and add more water. Just going to cover them, and put them back on the stove. While they're coming back up to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and get my supplies ready. So I'm going to get my lids and ladle and my jar funnel, and have all that ready to fill my jars. Hey, I'm back. Let's review what we've done. First, we looked over our beans, make sure there was no rocks or dirt. We washed them, and then I added them to the pot, covered them with 2 inches of water. We brought those to a boil and boiled for 2 minutes. Then we just turned the eye off, we turned the heat off, and let them set on the stove for 1 hour. After the 1 hour, I went ahead and drained most of the water off. The beans absorb a lot of that water. So I drained most of the water off. I covered them again with 2 inches of water and brought them back to a boil for 2 minutes. Then I let them sit on the stove for 30 minutes. So now we're here ready to fill our jars. And I have a slotted spoon and I have a ladle, and we're going to get ready to fill these jars. Also, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt to the jars after I've put in the beans. Okay, so like I said, I have a slotted spoon so that we can let the water drain from the beans as I fill. I have my jar funnel, and I'm just going to go ahead and start filling my jars. Once I get those to about 1 inch from the top, then I'm going to add my salt. We don't want to go above that 1 inch headspace, and I may leave a little extra just to make sure they don't expand, and if they need to expand a little more, they do have room. So I'm just going to bring it up to the shoulder of that jar, and we're going to fill all these jars. I also want to say that these jars are sterile, and I did take them and let them get warm in the hot water in my canner that is already on the stove, starting to get warm, so that I'm not putting these hot jars of beans into cold water on the stove in the canner. You can also use pint jars if you wanted to. You would use a ½ teaspoon of salt to a pint jar. I'll finish getting these jars filled, and then we're going to put the liquid from the beans over the top after I've salted them. All right, we have 7 quarts filled with our pinto beans, and I'm so excited about this. I know that pinto beans are not that expensive, even if you buy them in the can, but I know what's in these. They're mine, and I get the satisfaction of knowing that I can these myself, and we can have them for dinner. Okay, now I'm going to add the salt, and it's 1 teaspoon of salt per quart jar, and this teaspoon does not want to come in and out of the jar. I'm going to switch that. Okay, I'm going to do a ½ teaspoon just because it's easier. There's a half. Okay, now I'm going to start with my liquid. This is the liquid that the beans were cooking in the second time. We want to still make sure we leave that 1 inch headspace. I'm going to fill all the jars, and then I'm going to come back and make sure there's no air pockets. Make sure that I'm not overfilled. So I'm going to take a case knife now and just go down the middle and make sure I get all the air bubbles out. You don't want any dry spots, and then when you get your beans out of the canner, then you're going to say, oh my, they're dry on the top. So we want to make sure there's no air pockets. We're just going to do that to all the jars. And then I'm going to have to come back and add a little liquid, possibly. Okay, I'm going to take a dry towel and just clean the rim and the threads. Just make sure. I don't think I spilled anything, but we're going to make sure. And I also have my lids ready to go ahead and put on top. Like I said, my canner is heating up, so we're ready to put these jars in the canner as soon as we get the lids on. And you want to finger tighten. Don't over tighten these. You don't want to be a muscle man and just tighten them down that you can't get them off. Okay, we're ready for the canner. I'm filling my canner with my jars, and I have 7 quarts of beans. So I'm going to do 2 batches in my canner. I'm going to go ahead and do 4, and then next I'll do 3. So I'm going to put the lid on, and we're going to start it. The steam is coming out. We're going to count down 10 minutes. Then I'm going to put the weight on, and we'll get it to 10 pounds pressure. Pressure for 90 minutes for quarts. The pressure has come down. They pressured for 90 minutes at 10 pounds. And I'm going to remove the lid. I've already opened it. I let the pressure come down naturally. I didn't force it. I didn't run cold water. That's very dangerous. So I've already twisted the lid and opened it. So you're going to be careful. Let the steam out the opposite direction. And we have jars of pinto beans. Aren't they beautiful? I think we're going to have a jar for supper tonight. We'll go ahead and get the other jars out and on the towel to cool. I'm so very proud of these. They look beautiful.